All right, we are live with breaking news from the Unchained TV newsroom straight out to Sonoma County, the courthouse where Wayne Hsiung, the co-founder of Direct Action Everywhere, is about to be released from jail in a very, very widely covered open rescue case. Straight out to Carla Cabral, who is out there with supporters. Tell us, Carla, what is going on right now? Carla? Okay, we got a little frozen there with Carla. Oh, Carla. Oh, well,
Hi.
just move around as you always do to get a good spot. What?
Yeah, I had full signal just a second ago.
Yeah, no worries. We're always in breaking news mode, and you'll find your signal and you will find your spot. This is breaking news. Wayne Hsiung, the co-founder of Direct Action Everywhere, is about to be released, and it's certainly a very controversial case involving open rescue. Straight and open rescue means when people openly rescue animals who are distressed, suffering, sick, in factory farms. It's happening in Sonoma County. This is ground zero of the animal rights open rescue movement. So Carla, you're good now. What's going on?
Yeah, so we have lots of supporters that are already out here. I know this is not Wisconsin or some freezing cold place, but it is like 29 degrees, just starting to warm up. So people are really weathering the cold to be out here. We just heard from Curtis, and then Murray Holden, who's on the legal team, just gave us some words from Wayne that he's really excited to be getting out. He can't wait to see everybody. We are all just really, really proud of the work that Wayne has done. And of course, everyone at Direct Action Everywhere, Conrad De Jesus and Rocky Chow are also both here. They were arrested the other day. They spent 4 days in this very facility. If I can turn around and show you, we're all in front of the Sonoma County Adult Detention Center right now. This is where Wayne will be released from, and this is where Rocky and Conrad were kept for 4 days. Zoe Rosenberg was also arrested. She was bailed out only because they were threatening to take her medical device that is implanted in her that takes her blood glucose and administers insulin. They were going to remove that. And so it's not worth putting her life at risk. So she was bailed out. And, you know, what happens to these inmates is often unconscionable. And hopefully that will get elevated as well for all the people who are inside here, who knows what they're going through. We're really thrilled that Wayne is going to be let out any moment, and we'll bring that to you as soon as it happens.
Well, let me ask you this. Murray, who is one of the attorneys, just spoke. Wherever that stand is, apparently that's not a great location for live. Is there any way she could come over and maybe talk to us a little bit about the appeal?
Yeah, and actually I would like to walk over now before Wayne gets out, just to see if that was a glitch, because that is where Wayne will be speaking from. So I really need to make sure that we can hear from Wayne. And I think Murray might have gone inside the detention center just to check on things. We did see another inmate get released a moment ago, so they probably are processing inmates right now. Let's just see if I can am I still okay in this location?
You're okay in that location. You know, this is breaking news, and we're doing something that nobody else is doing, which is basically bringing you live coverage of a story that every single news organization in the United States of America should be covering, but isn't. While yes, there were great articles in, I'm holding them up here, Vox and Vice News.
Sorry.
Are there any TV crews there right now?
There are no major TV news that are here at the moment, so it's just us. Let's move over here. There's a shadow cloud casting on us.
There we go.
So I have Murray here.
Hi there, guys. We also do have some lovely documentarians here.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Murray, bring us up to date. He's being released, but with these very onerous conditions. Can you outline the conditions, and is there any way to challenge those?
So the conditions are onerous. It's 2 years of probation. He is required to stay 50 yards away from any concentrated animal feeding operation in Sonoma County, which makes some sense as a probation condition just from a legal perspective. But he's also required to stay 100 yards away from a list of people that include most of the people that are closest to Wayne in the world, some of his closest friends, co-defendants in other cases, attorneys that he has worked with. And these are all people who were alleged by the prosecution to be co-conspirators of his, but none of these people are convicted co-conspirators. Not a single one of these people has been convicted of any of these crimes. And in fact, a couple of them were not even alleged to be conspirators in the one conspiracy that Wayne was actually convicted for, and instead even allegedly only belonged to the other conspiracy that he was not convicted for. So there may be some grounds to challenge that. Challenging probation orders is notoriously difficult. Judges have a whole lot of discretion in what sorts of conditions they impose. I'm not able to say more about that at this time, but we do certainly think that it's possible that some of those conditions are not narrowly tailored, which is what they are supposed to be, and therefore may be unlawful. But more than anything, it's sad. It'll be difficult for Wayne personally. He's certainly upset and disappointed, but it's also a blatant attempt to stop the movement, to stop activists from associating with one another, to, quote, cut the head off the snake, which is what Troy Schaefer, who is now a judge in this very court, said several years ago, back when she was the chief deputy district attorney of Sonoma County, when she was speaking to a room full of the local farm bureau, the lobbying organization for animal agriculture in Sonoma County. And she made it clear that the goal of the district attorney's office, in conjunction with the sheriff's office and the industry, was to, quote, cut the head off the snake of the movement. Obviously, that's not going to happen. They can make it difficult for activists to communicate with each other, but this movement is a whole lot bigger than Wayne Hsiung or any individual one of us.
And on those lines, on those lines, after you speak, I do have Rocky and Conrad are both here, so I'm sure they'd be happy to speak to you as well. There's our favorite Curtis.
Hey Jane, how you doing?
Hey, how you doing, Curtis? Yeah,
doing well.
We're waiting with bated breath. We have a team of panelists, including Ellen Dent of Animal Alliance Network and Unchained TV Action Hour host Lindsay Baker. We are waiting with you to hear what Wayne Hsiung has to say after serving his, it was 90 days in jail, but with time served during the trial, as well as the halftime that California gives. They give sort of a halftime, cut the sentence in half. He's walking out any minute now. We're providing live coverage at the scene in Sonoma County. I heard a lot of, you guys come over here. Oh, there's Rocky. Okay, Rocky, you were recently arrested. Just as Wayne was sentenced, there was a march. And during the march to the sheriff's office, where you were going to hand in more evidence demanding that the authorities investigate your allegations of animal cruelty at the local animal factories, these massive factories for chickens and ducks. There you are being arrested along with Zoe Rosenberg and Conrad de Jesus. I want to talk to you about what that experience was like. And then you spent time. Oh, there's Conrad de Jesus as well. So tell us what the experience was like in jail and that whole thing of being sort of ambushed and arrested.
Yeah, so when I was arrested, I was basically filming Zoe, basically sending in where she was going to march over to the sheriff's office to turn in evidence of criminal animal cruelty, and it was like right here in her hands. And when we were just arrested, we were just completely blindsided. I was completely taken by surprise because, you know, like one thing, you know, like Zoe's being arrested, I'm filming that, and then next thing you know, I have someone grabbing my arm, who is, like, I believe, an undercover, like, plainclothes officer, telling me I was arrested, under arrest, and not telling me like why too, you know, up until like what 20 minutes after the fact, you know, when we were away from the crowd, you know. So yeah, I was completely blindsided, and me and Karma had to spend 4 days in jail. And that experience, yeah, yeah, what was your experience like?
Very similar to Rocky's. I was taken by surprise. We later found out that we had warrants for our arrest, so I don't know if that was made public, but that was explained to us, as well as our charges. And I'm very fortunate to, when this happened, that I had like a friend like Rocky be in jail at the same time, because jail is not a pleasant place, that's for sure.
Well, I understand that you went on a hunger strike.
I did. Yeah, it
Tell
was
us
more.
about that. What was that like, and why?
I did it for a couple of reasons. One is, as I was my freedom was taken away, and I was in essentially a cage. I wanted to have some sense of connection with the animals that we try to rescue. So that was one of the reasons. The other reason was that I knew that Wayne was in jail as well. So I wanted to have some sort of camaraderie with Wayne. And I know that in his life, he fasts like one or 2 days a week. So I wanted to do that as well. And that was basically the two reasons, really.
I just find it very overwhelming to think about. You're doing a march, you're arrested, Conrad, and then upon arrest, how many days did you fast for, and what was that like? I mean, emotionally and just physically.
It was almost 100 hours from the last time I ate, which was Thursday morning. And it was definitely draining. Fortunately, the first 2 days that I was in, I had my own cell. And so it was very easy when the guards opened up the door and presented a meal. I could say no thank you, and then they would just close the doors, and there was no temptation at all. But the last 2 days, I actually was moved to a cell with an inmate, and he would be eating like non-vegan food that was oftentimes heated up, and I could smell it in the room. So that was very difficult to deal with.
I think that many people believe that this is an attempt to intimidate people who might engage in open rescue, where you go in these mass actions. We actually have drone footage of one of the mass actions. And this is one that's at the heart of the case for which Wayne was convicted. You can see the huge police presence there. Is this going to, in your opinion, since you were arrested, intimidate activists into not engaging in open rescue, which is basically when activists determine that they've presented evidence of sick, suffering, dying, and dead animals inside an animal factory, and the authorities refuse to take any action and investigate these alleged violations of California's animal cruelty laws? You feel you have the legal right to go in there and rescue those animals because you maintain that law enforcement is not doing its job. Look at the law enforcement presence, not to investigate what the videotaped evidence of sick and dying animals, but to stop the protesters. Do you think the effort to stop this kind of thing from happening is going to work by arresting you, Zoe, and Wayne?
Yeah, I actually no, and the straightforward answer to that is no. I don't think so, because as far as I know, when me and Conrad were in jail, as far as I know, people were it happened in front of hundreds of people, but those same hundreds of people, from what I see, were still out there collecting signatures to put on a ballot to end factory farming in Sonoma County. The same people who saw it are still here. We're outside the sheriff's office, the same exact office that arrested me and Conrad. And also, there are still investigations and even open rescues happening even as we were in jail. So I think one thing that in addition to us being shocked, one thing that has been incredibly telling was that there is still activity in the animal rights movement where we're still taking bold action, and even more bolder ones, the more that the state try to repress not only us, but then just the animals' voices from being broadcasted for the public to see.
I want to go to our fabulous panelists and see if they have questions. What would you like to ask Rocky and Conrad, just to bring you up to date? This is breaking news. We are live at the Sonoma County Jail where Wayne Hsiung is about to be released any second. We decided to go live because there was activity there. And frankly, we are going to get no advance warning of when Wayne Hsiung is coming out, the co-founder of Direct Action Everywhere, convicted for essentially leading the open rescue movement to rescue sick, distressed, suffering, dying animals from animal factories, massive animal factories in Sonoma County, California, chicken and duck factories. So Ellen Dent, let's start with you. What would you like to know from these two men who ended up being arrested in a march after Wayne was sentenced, just grabbed and put in jail, and now they face, I believe, one felony and one misdemeanor each. Take it away, Ellen.
Yeah, I just want to say that you, Rocky, and Conrad and Zoe are all heroes for what you're doing and what you've done to save other animals. What I want to know is, was that legal? Do you know if that was legal for them to just come and get you? You didn't even know you had warrants. None of you knew that they were planning on arresting you. I would just like to know how they were able to do that and get away with that.
I'm not sure at all, like the legality of it. They just went ahead and did it. So I guess maybe that will be discovered at some point in time.
Now, because apparently we had heard that some people had their warrants mailed to them. In other words, this was a sort of a theatrical gesture, do you believe, on the part of law enforcement?
Oh, was it good?
Sorry, they just somebody came by to say that they just heard that it could just be any moment that Wayne is coming out. So we were a little distracted.
Oh, wow. No. Listen, it's distracting. It's absolutely breaking news. Is very well. You just fly by the seat of your pants and you do the best to bring the information.
They better all come out here
directly to people. It could be happening any second now.
Yeah. So one of the workers in there, one of the guards or whatever, said that he should be out any minute now. So I want to have it on film when he comes out.
Right. Yeah. But out here, we definitely can't go inside. I mean, if we go inside, we'll lose Wi-Fi. So we have to stay out here.
No. Yeah, we'll stay out here. You guys will stay out here. And by the way, we always say this, and it's absolutely true. We invite any animal factory owners on at any time to respond to anything said here. We would, in fact, love to dialogue and get their answers. And is he being released early? Well, here's the thing. It's not really early. In California, there is something called half-time. Whatever you're sentenced to, you just get half the time if you're basically not doing anything untoward. And so with that, including time served during his trial, which went on for 6 weeks, he's out, even though he was just sentenced not so long ago. So, Lindsay, what?
Wait, he's out. Wait, guys,
okay.
He's out. He's out.
Okay,
hold on.
There he's out. Let's get him.
I heard cheering inside. Can
you
see? I'm just afraid if I get too close, we'll see if my Wi-Fi holds out. But I just heard a bunch of cheering, so I'm sure he's out. I'm worried about losing Wi-Fi as we get closer to the door. I think people don't want to come out because it's freezing out here.
Yeah, I can imagine. You're watching breaking news.
Yeah, let's see if we can't get him. I think everybody's, in the lobby because it's nice and warm.
Yes. Well, he'll come out. Let's see if we can get him to come out. But the news is that he's out. You're hearing that from people that Wayne Hsiung
I heard them cheering. Yeah, I heard everybody cheering inside.
So, absolutely. Well, he hopefully maybe you can send one of your people in there to ask him to speak outside as opposed to inside.
Conrad just did that.
Oh, good. Excellent. So you're watching breaking news here.
I'm going to try to go inside because they're all staying inside. Let's see how it goes.
Okay, let's see. We're going to take a breaking news here. The Direct Action Everywhere co-founder, Wayne Hsiung, has been freed. Oh, here he is speaking.
I just keep thinking to myself, there's so many people doing such incredible work, and so many people have offered me so much support personally. And the years before this day, and think of the years to come. And so I know we're going to get through this together. I'm just really excited to see what we can do. But lots of stories to share, lots of stories to hear as well, because one of the most difficult things about jail is just being disconnected from everything. Like, you have no idea what's going on, even in your personal life. You know, when a lockdown happens, we've been in COVID lockdown for most of the last week, but we've also been in a more stringent lockdown, because in COVID lockdown, we're supposed to get out at least once a day. But under under lockdowns that are related to some security issues, sometimes they don't let you out at all, and so you're in your cell all day. We've had a number of situations like that unfold that are completely inexplicable, and you don't have any sense of what's going on. So even in your day-to-day existence, there's very little knowledge or control. And it's weird how quickly your brain starts getting rewired too, because when I first walked into jail, every cell has a little window slit, and I saw every single person just like staring out of the slit when I was walking. I was like, this is really weird. You know, I'm just walking in. It was 1 a.m. in the middle of the night, and everyone's just staring at the window slit. And I thought to myself, this is extremely creepy. I don't know why everyone's looking at me and why they're so excited about some random guy. And I swear to God, within 2 weeks, I'm doing exactly the same thing. Like, your brain just gets re-engineered because you have nothing to do in your cell. And so the moment you hear something, you're like, I want to see, you know, because there's no stimulation. And I'm like, why do I keep every click, every clack, every rolling wheel? I'm just at the windowsill like everyone else. And it's just creepy scene of like dozens and dozens of people all staring at the little windowsills. And I'm doing exactly the same thing within 2 weeks. And I was thinking to myself, man, this is after just a little over a month. I'm engaging in these weird instinctive behaviors. And even like coming out today, I'm like a little confused about why I'm able to walk around. I'm like, shouldn't I be somewhere just like holding still and not moving anywhere? Because I'm so used to it.
You want to go outside? We gotta, you know, we gotta.
Yeah, I'm really excited about seeing plants.
Yeah.
I've not seen a plant in so long. I didn't.
Get a jacket.
You need my jacket? No, I don't get cold. But no, yeah, my body runs extremely warm. So. But I guess the last thing I'll say is the other reason it's bittersweet. It's not just, you know, about me and my personal life. It's that, you know, Zoe, Conrad, and Maki, obviously. Maki. Hey, I probably shouldn't give you a hug, and Conrad. I probably shouldn't give you a hug yet, but let me take a COVID test first. But I know you guys are facing charges, and that's extremely concerning to me. And then obviously, I think most importantly for you and for me and for all of us is the fact that the laws against animal cruelty still are not enforced, and there's so many animals still suffering. And I thought about them a lot over the last few weeks, and it really did. I think you can maybe even tell in my writing, it just made me much closer to that experience. Yeah, there's this famous problem in philosophy about kind of the knowledge of experience, and the problem goes like this. I'll be super brief because I know we have things to do, and you know, I do have a lot of things I want to say because I haven't been able to say much in the last month.
We've got a whole podium and microphone.
But there's this at the meeting tomorrow, right?
Yeah, but there's this famous problem in philosophy called the problem of experience, or it's something like that. And it's a philosopher named Frank Jackson who asked this question: does experience actually lead to some understanding? And the way he posed this problem is say someone was born colorblind and had never seen a color in their life, but they became the greatest neuroscientist in history and understood every technical aspect, every physical, chemical aspect of vision, and complete and comprehensive scientific understanding. And even got to the point that this doctor, say she's able to actually even fix colorblindness. She discovers a way to re-engineer the human brain and the human eye so that people who are colorblind can now see color for the first time. This person who understands color and vision more than anyone in the world, when she does this procedure on herself, and for the first time, sees a rose in that brilliant red color, does she understand something new? And I think the answer is very clearly yes. there's something you cannot capture until you've actually experienced it yourself. So even if you're the world's greatest neuroscientist and doctor studying vision, if you can't see yourself the beauty of a red rose, the difference between red and green and blue and all these wondrous colors we all take for granted, you won't understand what vision actually means. And I think the same is true of negative things too, like suffering. And I told Murray before I went in, I don't think what I experienced is even close to what these animals experience, right? I was given a 50 square foot cell. I was allowed to come out usually at least once a day for half an hour to a couple hours. I knew it was going to end at some point. I'm a 150-pound animal. A mother pig in a gestation crate is a 600-pound animal in half the space of the cell I received. And over 5 years, she will never come out. Endless days and nights trapped in that cage with no escape. And you can understand why when you walk into a gestation crate facility, all these animals, they're doing exactly what we do in the cells, going right up the window, wondering what's going on, because these are intensely curious animals who want to be free, who want to have friends, are denied every natural right every living being on this earth should have, and they're given nothing. So that's why it's bittersweet too, because I know there's so much work to be done and there's so much suffering that still is being unaddressed, but that's why we're all here, right? And from what I've heard, I haven't seen a lot, because again, communication has been very difficult, but from what I've heard, the fight has been going really well on the outside. There's more and more attention, mobilization, passion, sacrifice. So I'm really excited to get right back to work. And I think that's what we're doing today, right? We're getting right back to work. So let me take this COVID test, and then yeah, let's go do whatever is being planned today. I don't even know.
Wow. This is so extraordinary. What a moment in history. This is a moment in history that you are watching live. Wayne Hsiung, the co-founder of Direct. Let's listen.
Okay. Yeah, let's do it.
They're just talking about Wayne going outside so that he can speak at the podium. They're not, yeah, they're talking about
Let's go outside.
going outside so that Wayne's going to take a rapid COVID test. Currently, there is a COVID outbreak in the jail, which is not uncommon for there to be COVID outbreaks. So, of course, Wayne wants to make sure that everything's safe so he can go out and collect signatures for our ballot initiative here in Sonoma County. But he'll be coming out.
And so that is amazing that he's released from prison. Most people would want to take a day, go get a spa, relax, get massages, have a big dinner. He's going to go straight out and collect signatures. Is that my understanding? Wow.
Yep, that's the very first thing he wants to do.
Unbelievable. So you were watching breaking news. That is a moment in history. As somebody said on the comments, this is a moment in history. He's going to speak again as soon as he gets his test. Lindsay, I know you've been following this and being part of our team from the very beginning. What is your emotional reaction right now, just as a human being?
Well, the first thing that struck me was when Wayne was describing the thing about how people incarcerated will just go up and stare, and it starts to physically and mentally change you. And that was very enlightening and scary for me. I never thought about it from that perspective. And then when he brought it home to the pigs in the gestation crates, it just really helps you to see the suffering they're going through. And I'm elated that he's out. I can't wait to see what's going on next. And he's so brave. I mean, I was even thinking, why are you talking? Why don't you just get out of there? To me, I would just want to get as far away as I could. So.
You are absolutely right. I'm sorry. I would do the same thing. I would just say, I'm getting out of here. We'll talk, but I want to get some fresh air. And yet he just stopped right there and talked about, how one of the interesting things while we're waiting for him to come out, and this is nowhere near over, this is a moment in history. We will look back on this the way we look at other historic moments in history for other civil social justice movements. We can all remember some moments that maybe at that moment might not have seemed so extraordinary, but then they end up going into the history books. This is that moment. And while he was in jail, I want to say that he wrote this, which I think is so interesting. He was okay. Here's what it said: the surprising success of animal advocacy in jail. And he basically said, even in jail, Wayne is getting people on board with veganism. I've been surprised how easy it is to get people on board with animal rights. After a week, I'm learning two reasons why. First is that a lot of people in jail have worked in slaughterhouses and factory farms, so they know how bad it is. Working in slaughterhouses is one of the filthiest, most dangerous jobs in America, so it's no surprise that they recruit from a labor pool that literally has no other choice, former inmates and convicts. And that I thought was so interesting. Wayne Hsiung, who has just been released from jail, was recruiting people for the animal rights movement and for veganism. Wow. Ellen, Deb, what's your reaction to that as the head of Animal Alliance Network, which is an organization that does all sorts of activism outside slaughterhouses, and you have talked to many slaughterhouse workers?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Wade is in there. He's doing what he does. And if they had left him in there longer, he probably would have had a whole movement and a protest going on inside of that jail. So I actually read a few of the posts about his successes in jail. And he was actually able to get his cellmate to switch to soy milk, to request soy milk, which was really, really amazing to see. And, I'm not surprised that, these are the people that are working in the slaughterhouses being, re-victimized again, if they're not guilty of the crimes or, I don't know about the legalities, but I'm not surprised that it's these same people that are working in the slaughterhouses that are victims of this industry as well, that are now inside these prison systems. And, I suggest anybody watch the documentary 13th. For some more clarification on what is happening inside of our prison systems, our jail and our prison systems, and how people, are sent there to, end up doing work there, and it's almost like a modern form of slavery. So just putting that out there.
If you are just joining us, Wayne Hsiung, the co-founder of Direct Action Everywhere, has just been released from jail. He was convicted of conspiracy to trespass and trespass in connection with two massive open rescues, one at a chicken factory in Sonoma County and one at a duck factory. Sonoma County is about 55 miles north of San Francisco. So, what's so extraordinary to me about this case is that California is a blue state. California is one of the most quote unquote progressive states, but it seems the animal agriculture industry is drawing a line in the sand and attempting to suppress the open rescue movement in California. Wayne Hsiung was acquitted in Utah in another case that involved rescuing animals. And I could just show you, there he is rescuing some sick piglets from a massive factory farm in Utah. The jury acquitted him. Here is one of the pigs with a little bloodied snout. And that was a huge victory in Utah. And they also had a victory recently with Alexandra Paul and her open rescue. Alexandra Paul and a co-defendant, Alicia Santorio, in California, and I can show you the video right now as we're waiting for Wayne to come out and speak again.
They have this weird solidarity. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
They're all together.
Yeah.
We're going to come back. We're going to come back and hear it. So, oh, there he is.
Maybe like this. Thanks what you do. You want me to I heard you, but
He does not have COVID.
Excellent. So he just completed his COVID test because apparently there's a COVID outbreak inside this Sonoma County facility. And now that he's negative, he can hug his supporters. Now, about a dozen of his closest friends, including Priya, who is watching his dog. I believe the dog's name is Ollie.
I thought about you.
He's not allowed to have contact. Wayne Hsiung is on 2 years probation, and he's not allowed to have contact with about a dozen of his closest friends. Considered
Wayne,
co-conspirators.
Good. Is it one
We're
felony?
just,
One
just let's
felony
listen in.
misdemeanor? And Zoe's got like 7, is that correct? Yeah, last I've heard, could be, yeah, could change.
Yeah, 7 felonies and 6 misdemeanors.
How you doing? Yeah, I heard your stay in jail was a little rough.
A little rough, yeah,
Yeah.
I fasted the whole time.
Okay, yeah.
So, yeah,
You back on your feet now?
I'm back on my feet, yeah.
I was reading about Emmeline Pankhurst in jail because Zoe sent me her biography, her autobiography. And hunger striking was a huge part of what they did to change the system. It's kind of unbelievable how many women reached the brink of death, frankly, over the course of like 7 years, and they won. And I thought you. So thank you.
Well, one of the reasons why I did it was because that I knew that in your regular life, and you would fast like once a week or something like that. And I thought that was kind of a way to kind of connect with kind of what you were going through too.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. All right, shall we go outside?
Yeah. All right, they're walking outside the jail facility. Wayne Hsiung, who has just been released, is hugging people after testing negative for COVID. And he is going to be speaking again. Direct Action Everywhere has set up a podium so that he can speak. And again, this is extremely, it's an extremely significant day. And, his best friends cannot be there to greet him. Priya and Elmira Tanner, for example, who is the lead organizer of Direct Action Everywhere. And they're considered co-conspirators, even though they weren't put on trial. So that's a question I have. I don't really understand how that is. Now you see Curtis Vollmer is giving Wayne his coat so that he will not be cold as he goes out. Apparently it's very cold where they are. In the 30s, apparently north of San Francisco. So you can see some media on the side. I know there's documentary filmmakers, and this is it. Wayne is walking out of jail, a free man, except he is on 2 years probation, and those 2 years probation prevent him from having contact with some very close friends, including Paul Picklesheimer, with whom he is going on trial in March in Wisconsin in a case involving beagles who are experimented on for products. So there he is. I'm just going to let the sound now. This is an historic moment. If you're watching, people, this is how a movement grows. And as Wayne Hsiung has said, it doesn't grow without sacrifice. He's made the ultimate sacrifice. He could have gone to prison for 3.5 years. And, others now have also been arrested in the wake of his conviction in this very county. You have, we have them right here. Rocky Chow, I want to pronounce his name right, Zoe Rosenberg and Conrad De Jesus were arrested, and Zoe faces potentially 20 years behind bars. So this is no laughing matter. This is a big, big deal. This is an historic moment in the animal rights movement because he made the ultimate sacrifice, namely sacrificing his freedom, which he said was nothing compared to what the animals experience inside these factory farms. So let's just listen in. Take it away, Carla.
Yeah, we're getting ready right now. You can see everybody with the Right to Rescue. Everybody go to righttorescue.com. Support what we're doing.
Hello. Hello. Hi. All these people over here.
It's hard to hear the. It's hard to hear the.
Yeah.
Microphone.
Thank you all so much, everybody, for coming out and making this a special event for Wayne. I hope that you're feeling loved and appreciated, Wayne, because we definitely care about you, and we want to see you thriving and doing well. Yeah. So at this moment, we are going to have Cheyenne sing a song. Cheyenne wrote a song about his trial and everything that has been transpiring here. And we thought it would be a nice gesture to you, Wayne, to have Cheyenne sing the song. And yeah, we'll get Shine up here, and thank you so much.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Wayne. I need to break it to you. Some people have hinted at this already, but you missed out on quite some cool stuff that happened. And yeah, there's mostly just a bunch of people stepping up. The first week or so, it was kind of a whirlwind, like, oh, Wayne's not here anymore. Somebody do something. And everybody did everything. And it was unfortunate, but really beautiful. And I'm sorry that you weren't able to witness that firsthand. But it's kind of on you because you just like inspired everybody and like got taken away. And so one of those people inspired was myself. And in the past, I've been, you know this, I've been hesitant to share my music. Because for anyone who has put anything out into the world, you know how scary it is in the beginning to use your craft as your voice to stand up for something and to speak up for those who can't speak up for themselves and make a statement. And so I felt that way for a long time. But during the trial, and especially on the night of the beer conviction, I thought, how silly is that? Because none of all that compares to the unearned suffering you had to go through within these walls and the million suffering in this very county right now. And I just thought there are stories that need to be told, even if you don't yet have all the perfect words with which to do so. And there are songs that need to be sung, even if my voice is going to shake and be very sharp. And so for me, this is one of those songs. I'm in court with all my friends. There's no assumption. With the weight of these bodies persuading that way with a balance. We're all dressed up, we're holding picking up these red roses. Most of us bled out, one of us bled out. None of us shouldn't be in this court. Someone call bloody, bloody murder. Don't hide your intentions. The jury's got questions. Oh, it's barely over. Already emotions. I think you got the wrong man. So you summon the witness. He's not a victim, he's far from innocent. He's wearing his tweed grin, he's raising his right hand. I think you made a big mistake. Someone call bloody, bloody murder. Hide your intentions, the jury's got questions. Oh, it's barely over. Already emotions. You got the wrong man. You're walking out to this prison so everybody can see. This is what happened to the right. We've been out here since September, watching these leaves turn red. Not from this chilly weather, but from the blood you shed. Someone call bloody, bloody wonders, hide your intentions, Jerry's got questions. Oh, it's barely over, already emotions. But I think you got the wrong ending. Ooh, I think you got the wrong ending.
Thank you so much, Cheyenne. I first heard that song, and I think it was one of the first times I heard Cheyenne sing and play at the Thanksgiving Day protest in Berkeley, and was very moved by that song as well. I really hope that, Cheyenne, you continue to write more music and play more songs, because that was beautiful, and we definitely need more of that. So before we break to get out into the field, continue to do this work that needs to be done, Wayne, we want to invite you back up if you have anything else that you'd like to say.
Yeah, thanks for that song, and thanks to all of you for being here. So one of the lines that Cheyenne just sang, that someone sent me the lyrics to the song, so I at least read the lyrics. I hadn't heard it, and obviously music is meant to be sung, not just read, so it's not the same until you actually hear it, especially by the person who wrote it originally. But one of the lines that kind of hit me pretty hard when you were just singing was, "We've been here since the leaves turned red." And I was just talking about what it would be like to live in a world without color, and how magical it would be the first time when someone who had never seen color come out. And when I was growing up in Indiana, seeing the seasonal change was one of the most beautiful things for me. I looked forward to it so much, and I'd step outside and I'd just literally run through the forest and the trees and look at all these wondrous colors. And I was thinking to myself about these animals who live in these dreary gray prisons every day of their lives, and chickens in particular. For those of you who don't know, chickens have an incredible sense of sight, because in the Asian jungles where they originally evolved, they needed to see color very, very well. A small change in the gradation of the visual spectrum could lead to food. That would be the difference between life and death. And all these animals, their entire lives, they never get to see seasonal change. They'll never see the leaves turn red. They'll never see a flower or a piece of fruit. They'll never see the sky. And it's been such an interesting experience, because over the last, 40 or so days, I also haven't seen the sky. When I first walked out here, it kind of hit me a little bit. And I haven't even been confined that long. I mean, it was just a month, and you're so acclimated to the idea of being in such an enclosed space that just this idea of a mass and vast expanse is so hard to reckon with. But the flip side of that is, for those of us, and many of you have joined in this experience, who've seen the animals, when they see the sky for the first time, or they see something that has a little color, like a strawberry, or a tree whose leaves is turning red, you can just see the magic in their eyes. And I'm not exaggerating at all. Like every chicken that we rescued from Sunrise Farms, when they come out of that crate onto Sanctuary for the first time, you can see them just like very gingerly and gently stepping outside, because the first experience is usually just almost terror and fear, because the world seems so small for so long, and now it seems so big and wide. But then it quickly transitions to something much more powerful and beautiful: curiosity and awe, that there's so much out there in the world that I've never experienced, and I'm going to see it for the first time. And that's all we're really asking for, right? For these creatures to be given what is their right: the right to be free, to see the sky, to have the sun splash on her face, to make friends, to be what all these animals should be. And right now, they're not being given that. So that's why this fight is so important. And that's why, you know, the relatively limited experience of confinement that I had, I think is going to be so important for me to have a better appreciation and, more importantly, and a better ability to convey to others what these animals go through. And I think when people do go through that and do experience that, even just a glimpse of it, they see why we need change. And actually, I'll give you some proof of that. So this case, and actually now even more Zoe and Conrad and Rocky's case, more than mine, has been the talk of the town inside the Sonoma County Main Adult Detention Facility. It's been on the front page of the entire paper on a few occasions, and on the front page of the regional section, I think almost every day. Lots of photos of Zoe getting arrested and a few photos of you as well, Rocky. And invariably, because the newspaper, and there's one newspaper shared by all 120 inmates in the module, ends up getting passed around to everyone because it's their only access to the outdoors. Invariably, when there are OCA periods, out of cell activity periods, everyone who got the newspaper would come running up to me and say like, hey, that's you, or hey, those are your friends. And so I had a pretty incredible opportunity to share the story of what's been happening in Sonoma County, not just in the last few months, but over the last few decades. The concentration of power, the increasing usage of factory farm techniques, and the suffering of the animals. And in this place, which society has deemed a place fit for only criminals, in this small community of people who have been forgotten, ignored, condemned by the rest of society, what I saw over and over again when I shared with people the story of Sonoma County, the ducks, the chickens, the cows, and the other beings who are suffering, and now some human beings too, is immense compassion. And so my cellmate, actually, who's an artist of sorts, drew something for the defendants.
Wow.
And it's a beautiful drawing of a duck. In the background, I think, is Happy Hen, or at least this artist's inspiration and vision for what Happy Hen Animal Sanctuary may actually look like. And the other side is a message, I think, from every single inmate for the defendants. I'll just read a few of them. We hold you in our hearts. Stay strong. We are here all for you. The times are tough, but you will persevere through this. It's just a bump in a long road. Stay tough. Don't lose faith. And then actually my next door neighbor, Tuan, wrote something that I like best. If it was easy, everyone would do it. Keep fighting. So here's one piece of evidence that even in the face of all the suffering, even when we know there's so many beings, including the inmates in this facility, who never get to see the sun, never get to breathe any fresh air, never get to see the leaves turn red, as Cheyenne sang so beautifully. Even in a place like this, there are people who have immense compassion, gratitude, and hope for change. But the other thing I want to say is, I'm not going to say too much about this because I don't want to disclose too much, but I don't think anybody here knows this. Even my legal team doesn't know this because I just found out about this myself 2 days ago. I get a letter from a juror. He wants to correspond by email. He wants to possibly meet. And I don't want to say too much or give anything away because I want to respect this individual's privacy. What I will say is I think he, like all of us, was changed. Because it's impossible to come close to the suffering of beautiful, gentle creatures like the ducks at Reichert, who are now living a happy life only because of the efforts of you, not me. I mean, I really wasn't involved in that. Even though I've been convicted, and I'm glad to be convicted. And I should wear it like a badge of honor because you're giving me credit for something I didn't do. But if I did do it, I'd be very proud. I just wish I had. But it's very hard to come close to the gentle creatures that were saved from Reichert. a duck. You know? We literally stop on the road when they're crossing the streets. These gentle, beautiful creatures, to see them suffering, it's hard to be close to that and not change. And that's the most fundamental reason I believe, and I actually just wrote a blog about this, that change is inevitable, because there's great power in these beings, and not just their suffering, but their joy. And when the world sees that and feels that, it too will change. So yeah, I'll update you more if I have permission from the individual who I have no doubt correspond with and meet and honor. Because, and this is actually another thing I'm going to say, while it is infuriating at times, and I think anger is righteous and justified when institutions, corporations, judicial systems violate our rights and the rights of others, it's also just part of change. And everybody's got a role to play. That includes the prosecutors who brought this case, the judge who excluded evidence, the jurors who, I think in a state of confusion, convicted me of things I did not actually do. Everybody has a role to play, and everybody is part of the progress that we're trying to make. And understanding that, I think, allows us to have more compassion and understanding for everyone. So I hope we do that, even for Judge Basalia, who I think in many ways, although she is certainly not my biggest fan, has been an important person in my life and someone I'm grateful for. So I don't think I have anything else to say. Anything else I should say? What are we doing today? I am absolutely going to get signatures for the first time. And actually everyone else, and I said this right after the verdict, that by far the most important thing in moving forward in the face of repression is for people to keep fighting. And one of the great things is there's a completely safe, completely legal, although our actions are legal too, way for all of us to keep fighting in a way that will transform Sonoma County for millions upon millions of suffering beings, and that is to ban factory farms. This is going to be an extremely difficult fight. I think this is probably going to get on the ballot, but I'm just going to warn you ahead of time, and I'm sure Curtis and Carla and Elmira and all the team members at DXC have warned you about this. Victory is very far from guaranteed, because the industry will come out with its claws, and the industry is a very dangerous foe. They will bring millions of dollars in advertising, every trick in the book, litigation to get this off the ballot, to dissuade people, to manipulate people, deceive people into voting against it. But the one thing they don't have is your heart. Everyone fighting on the other side is a mercenary. They're doing this for money, for power, for greed. And the battle between hearts and minds and money, over the long term, the hearts and minds of the people will win. But that requires all of us to take our hearts and our minds and put them into action. So today, we're going to be gathering signatures. Curtis told me we have 23,000 signatures, 7,000 more to go. But it's not just signatures. I mean, hopefully this isn't against your instructions. Personally, I think we should have good conversations with people too. You know, win people over. Maybe you'll recruit someone to become a volunteer to gather signatures and amplify our movement's power. Actually, in fact, Andrew, who was just here, I think it was Kitty who was gathering signatures and ran into Andrew randomly, who was a classmate of mine 20 years ago, and said, "Holy shit, I know Wayne. I walked his dog when he was in law school. I need to be at this trial," and he was here with this little girl.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he'll help out in many ways with our efforts in Sonoma County, because he's a Sonoma County resident too. So I think we should go out there and gather as many signatures as we can, have as many good conversations as we can, and start being the change. Or I should say, given everyone here has already started being the change, continue being the change.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Any quick questions that you got, Jane? Do you have?
Well, definitely about the appeal, and how it might establish case law.
By the way, thank you, Jane. And finally, I get to talk to you. After 2 months of being gagged, one of the nice things about being convicted is I'm actually I was kind of worried that they were going to impose a gag order on me as well and prevent me from speaking, which would have been even more unconstitutional than the associational constraint that has been imposed on me, which is prohibiting me from coming within 100 yards or even contacting about it. I don't even know what the exact list is, because I
I looked at it very briefly when Murray came to visit me in jail, but I just know it's some of my closest friends like Priya. I'm not going to be able to see, other than one brief week with Priya, just to reorganize our, our lives. I'm not going to be able to see any of those 12 people over the next 2 years. But on appeal, if you went to me, even actually, a month ago, before the verdict, or a month and a half ago before the verdict, and asked me, what is the ideal outcome? I would have actually told you conviction. I mean, just legally, what is the ideal outcome? What is the ideal outcome? I said, honestly, the ideal outcome is for us to lose. And the reason is, to win in the long term, in terms of setting legal precedent, you actually have to first lose. When you win in the trial court, while that sets a political precedent, a cultural precedent, a communications precedent, it is actually not binding legal authority on all the other judges and courts across the state of California, much less the country. But if you lose and you appeal and win before a panel of appellate judges, 3 judges that will be called, and this is a pretty good district for that. It's the 1st district of California. It's a pretty progressive district. Then that is now the law of the entire state. And in particular, the legal proposition that is most crucial for us is something called animal personhood. The notion that animals are not just things, they're beings that have standing under the law. Human beings, for the most part, have standing, although that is actually a fairly recent innovation in American history, because in 1776, when this country came into existence, about half of you would not have had legal standing because you had the wrong gender. Another quarter of the people in this audience would not have had legal standing because you were people of color, so you were invisible to the law. And we fought as a nation for 300 plus years. We've cried, we have protested, in some cases people have been jailed and died to ensure that everyone in this small crowd is visible to the law. And we're not there yet. There's still a lot of problems with our legal system, as we've seen with Black Lives Matter and Me Too. We're getting closer. Animals, if anything, are further from that destination. And that's not because people don't care. I mean, this is proof. So-called hardened criminals, when they hear the story of a woman and her 2 friends who care for animals, they don't want to put them in prison. They want to say thank you. But our legal system is antiquated. It is regressive. It still treats animals like property, not like living things, but like commodities for a corporation to use. And if we win this case on the grounds of legal necessity, the proposition that will be won is the notion that animals are someone's and not some things. Literally, that is a legal question. And because it's a common law precedent, what that means is it has implications far beyond just the doctrine of necessity. It means that when it comes to animal cruelty laws, animals perhaps should be victims in court. In the same way Mike Weber was allowed to offer a statement as a victim in court. He has legal standing as an individual and owner of a corporation. If animals under the common law are legal persons, they're legally victims as well. We should be able to make a statement in court under the statutes that govern whether victims have rights in a court of law. When it comes to things like pollution, now you and I, if we're poisoned by some pollution, we have legal standing to bring a lawsuit and say, I have been harmed. For not just 400 years since this country was founded, but for tens of thousands of years since the human species began domesticating and enslaving other animals, these creatures haven't had standing in our own legal and political and cultural systems to say, I too have been harmed. If animals are persons under the common law, suddenly if there's pollution, that is, for example, killing the Tule elk, or if there's an action taken by the Department of Internal Affairs in the state of California, or the Department of the Interior, I should say, in the state of California, or at the federal level, fencing off all the Tule elk so they can't even reach water, they now can bring a civil action, in theory, and say, I too have been harmed, and I am a legal person who can bring a lawsuit in a court of law. Just as children can, a child can't make a legal filing or make an oral argument in court. People who are suffering from some severe disability or in a coma, they have legal standing, even though they can't file a legal brief or make an oral argument. But there's a process by which a guardian ad litem can be appointed on behalf of individuals who themselves do not currently have the cognitive capacity to make an argument in court. And this has been understood for hundreds of years. This is a system that already exists for many other vulnerable beings who cannot fight on their own behalf in court. So that is by far the most important proposition. And the great thing is we have enormous ammunition on our side. First of all, we have an entire statutory scheme in California that indicates not just human beings, but non-human animals are others who can suffer great bodily injury. Right? There are literally Good Samaritan statutes are in existence that indicate that animals, not just human beings, but animals, have bodies that need to be protected and are others that should have some legal visibility in court. And it's just a small leap from there to say, well, that animals should just outright have legal personhood and standing. And one of the reasons this is, not in my words, but in the words of Steve Wise, I think I heard that Steve Wise passed away. Is that true? It's one of the many things that you don't know and you wish you knew when you're in court. Well, whether he passed away or not, in the great words of Steve Wise, a legendary lawyer, one of the fathers of animal law, the criminal law is one of the best places for us to try and inject this concept of legal standing, because the criminal law, for hundreds of years, frankly, has been one of the sources of legal change, because courts and the entire public understand when someone is putting their freedom on the line, when their very life is potentially at stake, we have to give their legal argument some attention. Now, often they don't want to give attention. Often they do not give sufficient attention. Certainly that's what happened in this case. But as a matter of cultural and political precedent, and just as a matter of common sense, when someone's freedom is on the line, attention must be paid. And so what I've said in the past, which is very true in the history of the common law, is that those who believe in freedom for others must leverage their own freedom to create change. Because while the animals don't have standing, there's no dispute that I do. And this appeal will give us a chance to make that very important argument in a court of law. And I think we have, I know people hate it when I give probabilities that are unrealistically precise. I'm going to do it anyways. I think we have maybe a 33% chance. And that might seem low, but 33% is better than 0. And 33% means if we do this 3 times, if we get to the Court of Appeals, which means 3 people have to get convicted and 3 people have to bring it to a Court of Appeals, 33% means basically if you do it 3 times, the odds are you're going to win. So yes, that appeal is extremely important. There are a number of other issues at play in this appeal, but that is the central one and the most important one. And thanks for bringing it up, Jane. And thank you for all your work. So much love to you and your team. I can't wait to go back and watch all the Unchained segments on the channel, given that I was barred from doing anything over the last 2 months. Okay, shall we go gather signatures, or anything else anyone else wants to say? Curtis?
Thank you, Wayne. Let's give it up for Wayne here. So before we go and gather signatures, actually, quick question. Just show of hands, who has not gathered signatures and/or needs some training? Oh, yeah. Wayne, do you need any outreach training? Yeah. Outreach training. Yeah. I think after listening to Wayne speak for about 5 minutes, if you just showed up, I would have never known that he was in jail for 45 days. Unbelievable. So what I would like to do now is get a group photo, and if we can just rally behind this banner, and maybe Wayne, you want to be in front. If everybody can get behind, we've got a few more of these red placards. We can also crowd around the sides too with the placards.
Get on in there.
But I would like to get a group photo that we can send up to social media team that we can use for press releases.
We'll
and whatnot.
stay with this.
And then Antonelle is behind, back here. Antonelle has signature packets and materials for gathering signatures, and she's going to help send people off to various places to gather signatures. So yeah, so let's get lined up for this photo. Can somebody, maybe Max, I want to dismantle some of this stuff and just get it out of the way for the photo. Where's Tor? Tor, you want to help me real quick?
All right. So if anybody's watching that's in Sonoma County, come on out. You can help us gather signatures or contact us and go to the Coalition to End Factory Farming. So if you go to endfactoryfarming.vote, you'll find out all the information about the CAFOs, the concentrated animal feeding operations that are in Sonoma County. We are, this ballot initiative would end anything that the EPA defines as a concentrated animal feeding operation. So there's already been some hit pieces out by the Farm Bureau trying to say that that this ballot initiative would end all farms in Sonoma County, that it would affect everyone. And that's just not true. There are over 1,000 farms here in Sonoma County, and this would affect about 50 or so of those farms. All right, here's everybody.
Wow. This is amazing. Again, a moment in history.
All right, yeah.
The photo.
I know, right? Excellent lighting. All right.
There we go. All right. Wow. Well, I just want to say, first of all, incredible work from Carla. Wow. Just amazing the way you got the statements and the comments. I mean, this woman is working on her phone, and you would think she had a giant camera and a whole team of staff. So way to go, Carla Cabral. Just amazing work out there in the field. We really want to thank you. Thank you for watching at home. And remember, on the 14th, then there's going to be, it's an arraignment, right, for Zoe Rosenberg, Conrad de Jesus, and Rocky Chow. And those are the three individuals arrested right after Wayne was sentenced. They went on a march. And in fact, we have a DXC video that we're going to play right now. I know you've got to go and do all your actions, Carla, so I don't want to keep you here any longer. We're going to play that, get some final thoughts, and then, you know, really let's figure out what's going to happen on the 14th, because everybody's back there in court on the 14th, which I believe is next Thursday. So thank you so much, Carla Cabral. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Let's listen to what Zoe Rosenberg just issued, because it's really, really got a lot of details in it.
I am facing over 20 years in prison for rescuing criminally abused animals. Last week, right after my friend Wayne was sentenced to 3 months in jail for his work to help animals, I led a group of supporters to the Sonoma County Sheriff's Office to re-report criminal animal cruelty. As we approached, an officer shouted my name. At first, I was excited because I thought they were coming to me for animal cruelty evidence. I was about to explain everything to him and hand him my folder when he said that he had a warrant for my arrest. I was immediately handcuffed and taken to a police car. They sat me down in an interrogation room. A detective from the Petaluma Police Department came in and told me that she had a second warrant for my arrest. She told me that they were charging me with 5 counts of felony conspiracy and 3 misdemeanors, including theft. But I haven't stolen anything. I did, however, rescue 4 abused chickens, including Poppy, a little hen who had an infected toe and a body covered in scratches. My other warrant is a bit confusing, but it seems like I am being charged with burglary for rescuing River and Oakley, 2 ducks who were on the verge of death. More will be revealed during my hearing on December 14th. But for now, it looks like, in total, I am facing 7 felonies, 6 misdemeanors, and over 20 years in prison. My friends Rocky Chow and Conrad de Jesus are also facing charges for their work to expose animal cruelty and help abused animals. They are each facing 1 felony and 2 misdemeanors, which could lead to up to 3.5 years in prison. There is also some confusion about the nature of their charges, but they should learn more on the 14th as well. In the meantime, it is essential that we rise up in the face of this corruption and repression. We must tell the world that we are not afraid, and that as long as animals are left to die in distress, we will be there, and we will do anything and everything that we can to help them.
What a day it has been. Final thoughts, or any thoughts from, let's start with you, Lindsay Baker. You've been taking it all in, host of Action Hour on Unchained TV. Very emotional, first of all.
Yeah, very, very emotional, uplifting. I feel inspired to be braver in my activism and to never give up, and just all of the things that we see are just moving. And when we see all this compassion coming from inmates, it's just so incredible. But it really makes sense, because so many of those people have been, have slipped through the cracks and have been treated unfairly, some of them. And, it just makes sense that they would have that compassion and have that feeling, but the fact that they could have the compassion is incredible to me. And everything, there's so much to process. It's still I'm still processing it, but I was so moved by everyone. Carla, thank you so much. Wayne, you always blow my mind every time you speak. It's just been an incredible journey, and I hope to be able to be a part of it. I'm honored to be a part of it, and I hope I continue to be able to be a part of it.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, we were all standing by since 7:30 in the morning because we didn't know when he was going to get out. We just to get you a little bit of a behind the scenes, we have to schedule our lives because we are live on our streaming network, UnchainedTV. You can see it behind me right here on my Samsung TV. You can also get it on if you have an Amazon Fire Stick or a Roku device or an Apple TV device. So that requires being set up. And then we also are live on YouTube, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and a whole variety of Facebooks, because great organizations like Vegan FTA allow us to cross-post. We're cross-posting on DXC, as well as all the National Animal Rights Day pages. Thank you, Ayla Morian. So a lot of coordination goes into that. Our social media director, Michelle Celestino, is cross-posting as we go live. It's a whole process. We didn't know when he was going to be let out. It could have been 9 a.m. It could have been 4 in the afternoon. So I want to thank my expert panel here for just being on standby. And then it became pretty clear he was going to be let out pretty early. Ellen Dent, your thoughts about the big picture? I mean, what is the big picture here? If we jump forward 20 years, hopefully we'll be living in a world that is compassionate, where animal factories have given way to sanctuaries and people going plant-based, which is also a great way to reverse climate change. How important was this day?
I mean, it's a day for the history books. We saw Wayne Chung freed. I'm personally still relieved to see him walk out of that place. He described his suffering. I mean, he put it so profoundly how it affected him to be in there, and put it into the perspective of other animals suffering by the billions, trillions, if you include sea animals that are also, held captive in farms. So, I mean, he couldn't have put it any better. The whole picture here was that this can turn into a very positive situation when he wins on appeal. And I'm just going to say, I'm going to put it out there that he's going to win this appeal. It will become case law. It will help other animals. They will get personhood. They will get rights. And we have to believe in that, and we have to support that, and we have to talk to every single person, just like he's going to go do right now, knocking on doors and getting signatures for the petition to stop this violence, to stop the suffering of other animals. So I'm with Lindsay. I am completely moved. I'm empowered. I'm emboldened, and so many other activists around the world are feeling the same way too. We can do this. We all need to do our part. Get out there, talk to every single person that you can. Let them know that this travesty of justice happened, but we can't let it happen anymore. We can't let this happen to other activists who are just simply doing the right thing. And in the future, we will have laws that protect other animals and protect activists helping other animals. Hopefully we won't even need activism, because they will have rights. And I just want to say that I'm so grateful to be able to be on this live with all of you that are tuning in, sharing this live however you can with anybody that you can that will see this, that will also be moved. Just like that juror, who I believe is probably the person who held that jury so long. I'm really looking forward to seeing more. I see activists that have traveled out there, and I'm so grateful to them for traveling across the country. I saw Max Brode from BFAR right now outside of there. He's from DC area, Washington, DC. And, I'm so grateful to activists that can't be there, but because I can't be there, I'm just so grateful to be a part of this Unchained TV coverage. Please download the app. Please tell everybody to follow Unchained TV, the only news network to bring you this story. So thank you, Jane. Thank you, Lindsay. Thanks to Carla. Carla is amazing. I'm empowered. Let's fight.
Thank you. And I want to say that I appreciate your words. Yes, please download the app. It's free. It's 100% free. And we are really basically 100% volunteer. We have a couple of people, who we pay to do technical things and editors here and there, but essentially I'm a volunteer. Lindsay's a volunteer. Ellen Dent is a volunteer, and it's a community. Nobody owns Unchained TV. It's part of a 501c3 nonprofit. So I would urge you at the very least to download the app. It's so easy. You can download it right on your phone. Just put in Unchained TV, one word. It's very important to make it one word. And you can also go to UnchainedTV.com and sign up. On the top right, you can sign up, and also you can download it on your television. And we have almost 2,000 videos right now. We have an entire, it's called Is This America, right behind me. You can see that this is the series about this trial. So each one is an actual video that you can watch. And the great thing is you can text these to people. So this was the video of the sentencing that we covered. So you can actually, when you download it on your phone, for example, if you wanted to send this to somebody who doesn't take the animal rights movement seriously, I can't imagine a more profound speech than the one I heard from Wayne Hsiung today. You could literally text this entire live to that person. So we're the world's only streaming network that is 100% plant-based content. With the exception of, if you want to consider it an exception, we do reports on cell-based meat, which is not technically vegan, but that is something that many in the animal rights movement and beyond feel that is a solution. I personally feel if you asked a cow or a pig trapped in a factory farm, would you want to be tortured for the rest of your life, or would you mind if one animal gives a biopsy? I'd say they would probably say, please take a biopsy and let's end this horror. So that's something that is discussed in the animal rights world. It's getting more and more sophisticated. So once they have those cells, they can manufacture meat. It is a subject of controversy, but with that one exception, we are 100% vegan network, the only one in the world, and 100% free and nonprofit. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. Please come back. We're going to continue to provide coverage of this extraordinary legal battle in Sonoma County, California. And the 14th is the next time up, where Zoe Rosenberg, who you are looking at behind me on the screen, she is facing 7 felonies and 6 misdemeanors, and she's going to be arraigned along with Conrad De Jesus and Rocky Chow on Thursday, the 14th. We hope to bring you coverage. Thank you so much for joining us, and share this out if you're watching on social media. And, I just think we have all together experienced a moment in history. Thank you for joining us. See you next time on Unchained TV.